Stands in this moment have enjoyed impunity and dodged accountability. We've heard her voice, now hear ours, loud and clear. Systems built with a root of corruption, violence, and deceit always crumble. That time is coming. Your pseudo-power has diminished.
She thought about it and came back the following week and filed the first documented police report against Jeffrey Epstein in 1997. And you all were betrayed because there was no prosecution. Believe women. Let's hear it. Believe women. Believe women.
Sadly, we don't believe women or children, not in this country anyway. And it's horrible and it's tragic. More on that in a minute. My name is Suri Crowe for the MeidasTouch Network. That last piece of sound that you saw there, by the way, is attorney Gloria Allred, who has been a champion of women's and victims' rights for decades. And she was just one of the many who spoke in support of the Epstein survivors press conference today in Washington, D.C. And, you know, some of these victims have never gone public before. So, you know, I've been watching them as they arrived in D.C. They met privately with the Oversight Committee in Congress, and then they came out publicly today. And just really empowering to see them do that. One of them is a woman named Rosa. I think she flew in from overseas, who was lured by Jeffrey Epstein through a modeling offer, which seemed to be a ruse that they were all working through. And remember, Trump had a modeling agency as well. Modeling agencies, big time vehicle for child or young women sex trafficking. And, you know, even though she was a bit shy and didn't want to speak on her own, she did have her attorney say this for her.
Is of a modeling contract in 2009. That means that Rosa wouldn't be here today if Alex Acosta hadn't had Jeffrey Epstein in his grasp, had what every single law enforcement officer dreams of, to stop a predator in his tracks. And what did he do? He gave him a slap on the wrist and let him to continue to abuse. And had he not, Epstein never would have met Rosa, and Rosa would not have to be here today. But none of you should have to be here today. None of you should have to be there today, because if when Jeffrey Epstein was finally arrested in 2016 and under federal custody, he wouldn't have been allowed to take his own life and avoid the accountability and justice you all deserve. And none of you should be here today because Ghislaine Maxwell should not have been given a platform to deny the crimes against her, who was convicted of trafficking and tricking 14-year-old girls.
Yeah, they want closure. This open, gaping wound because the Republicans and the president of the United States won't do right by them. It is just so disgusting. Republican Congress member Thomas Massie has co-led this effort with California Representative Ro Khanna. He pleaded for his Republican colleagues to do the right thing.
Colleagues, please. There's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it. And every Democrat will sign it. And that will get us the number we need to force this vote, to pass a law, not a polite request to the DOJ to police themselves. No, we need legally binding legislation to force that to happen.
It shouldn't be that hard, for God's sakes. And several of the victims also expressed horror that Trump's DOJ has given special favors to one of their former abusers, Ghislaine Maxwell, by moving her from a maximum security prison to basically a country club setting.
She is someone who was found guilty by a jury of sex trafficking. She not only, we often hear that she procured women for Jeffrey, which I think is a very sort of polite and minimizing term. She also participated in the abuse. She was a major architect of the scheme. And the fact that she has painted herself as a victim, I think is disgusting. And it was horrifying, I think, to us that we were not told about her prison transfer. We found out about it in the news.
So, Anushka DiGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened.
And here is what Rep. Ro Khanna had to say.
And they want to know, and the American people deserve to know what was there in those files. I actually think they're helping us come together as a country. I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before. I've done some with Tufts, but look, this country is divided and exhausted. This is one thing that we can come together on. Yeah. And I was very clear with Thomas. This is not against President Trump. I would like nothing more than a Truth Social post for him after this press conference saying, just release the files.
To be honest with you, I was sort of taken aback. Like, I'm shocked to see Marge Green up there. I was like, what? But hey, you would think protecting victims from sexual abuse crimes would be something that we can all come together on, right? And so we welcome support from the Republican side. It's so rare, all right, Marge and Lauren Boebert. But when it comes to the President of the United States, no. Think again.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. It reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
I mean, of course, the narcissist in chief, the man who makes everything about himself, who doesn't give a rat's ass about anyone other than himself, is going to make it all about himself. And he's a convicted criminal. He's a convicted felon, 34 counts. He was found guilty of. So he's a con. He was also found liable by a jury in a civil trial for sexual abuse against E. Jean Carroll. And remember what the judge in that case translated that finding to? He said it was the equivalent of rape. That's what the judge said. So, is it any wonder that the man who was at one time best friends with Jeffrey Epstein is going to be on the side of the victims when he's always been a predator, Donald Trump. I mean, we know this. So of course he's going to be for protecting the predators, especially if he might be in the files. And the Trump regime is so freaked out about the truth finally getting out that they will do anything to silence the victims, which is really warped and sick, including sending a military flyover to interrupt the press conference.
When it had already happened, this woman abused children. I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years.
I mean, how twisted is that? I did a story last week on the GOP being the guardians of predators, and it really is categorically true. I have a follow-up coming up on that. I've been doing sort of a deep dive on child sex trafficking, and God, it is such, I have to tell you, it wears on my soul. I'm not trying to make that about, but it is so, it's a very heavy story, but I think we need to talk about it, especially because the Republicans were the ones who kept yelling about pedos and sex trafficking rings for the Democrats, when in reality, the evidence is so clear that they doth protest too much. And so I'm going to do another story on that. But, the other thing is that the Trump regime has caused so much absolute devastation and destruction to victims' rights groups by defunding them. And it is so incredibly harmful for sexual abuse crimes survivors, for children, for women. They just don't give a shit about women and children. They don't. I mean, that's the bottom line. And, from the party that's like child trafficking and human trafficking, it's the same old thing with them. Every single accusation is a confession of what they themselves are doing. They're the biggest effing hypocrites. So stay tuned for that story. But I also wanted to sort of end on a high note because I wanted to say that how incredibly proud I felt today as a woman, as an SA survivor myself, that these girls, these grown-up girls now gathered in DC to take their power back. Many of them have never come out before. They've been suffering with this years and years of trauma. Many of them since they were little girls, children. And they came together today to the seat of power, if you will. And they were like, not today, Satan. And so I just found it so beautiful and empowering. And I was just like cheering for them, you know, from afar. And it was just a really beautiful thing to see them gaining strength from each other, especially for the newbies who for the first time were coming out. You could kind of see the ones who have already been out doing this for a while, like just building them up. And it just, I don't know, it really touched me. So, you know, and to the Trump regime and enabling fascist Congress, the Republicans, obviously, the survivors' message was, if you're not going to do right by us in releasing the full files, which they all want, all of these survivors, all of these girls, women want the files. They want them released. They want them released so they can get closure and close this, you know, gaping book and move on with their lives. But their message today was, if you're not going to do right by us, then we will do right by ourselves.
And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. Yes. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
No. That's the way to do it. That's the way to go. You know what? This regime, the Trump regime, administration, this DOJ, this weak, like just flaccid Congress, our laws are not protecting us. They're not. So again, it comes back to we, the people. We have to take our power back. We don't have to lie down on the ground the way the Republicans in Congress are to their orange leader. And so, we don't have to let these monsters trample all over us. We don't. There are more of us than there are of them. Right? That's what I got so far today. I just think it was a really incredible day for these women to stand up there and to say whether or not you're going to pass this and put stronger legislation at work to protect women, you know, like us or like them. We're going to do something about it. And I love that idea, is that once again, we the people. And I think that's just a really empowering, wonderful thing to see. And the other people standing up there with them. Really wonderful. Love to see it. Anyway, I will see you guys back here soon. Don't forget to follow me on my socials, which are linked in the description below. Peace.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.